any platform, I have to tell everybody I'm not an attorney. I don't have a license to practice law. I do not practice law. What I do is study law, tell people what I've learned, how I gathered information. I don't give information as advice to apply to a specific case. It was general information regarding the law and lawful principles, which, by the way, belong to the people. So please use any information obtained for educational edification only. And the reason that I say this is because I want nothing that I say to be construed to be legal advice. If you feel you need legal advice, I would highly encourage you to hire a licensed and hopefully competent attorney in your state and be legally advised. All information given is based upon my own personal experiences and some experiences I've had with other people. But again, not ever should it be construed to be a substitute for legal advice for anybody out there who cares. Everybody who's been a part of this is well skilled based upon information I share with them and how they can build to better represent their own interests. That
Excuse
being
me,
said, King Daniel,
Greg, let them know that if they refresh the live and click, and in your description of the live, I put the Zoom link.
okay, so everybody out there who can hear me, hopefully you refresh your screen, and it will take you back to the live that you need to be in, and you can see the Zoom link, and then we'll let you into
In the
the Zoom.
description. The Zoom link is
The
in the description.
Zoom link is in the description. Well, hopefully, I don't have a whole bunch of people bombing me. So, hell, make sure I've changed probably can't rename yourself, and you can't unmute yourself, and you can't start your video. So let me go ahead and get that. So only I can do those things for anybody else coming in because we don't want anybody who's not supposed to be in here bombing this, and we'll just go ahead on and take care of it from there. That being said, before I get started on this other stuff, we have our resident accounting gentleman. Rick, real quick, tell everybody who you are, what you can help us all do.
Hey, fellas, Rick Robinson here. My specialty is finance and accounting. If you have some issues with your child support or the numbers, some things just don't seem right, I can do an analysis and help you to understand if your numbers are correct or not. With cases that I've reviewed, every single case that I've reviewed, information has been incorrect. So, of course, child support calculator is just a calculator, but the information going in the calculator was not good. Therefore, the output was not good. So that can result in thousands of dollars a year. So if you need help with doing an analysis, I can help you there. If you have a business or just need some advice, I can help you with that as well. Just understanding all your financials. So that's my specialty.
By the way, for a lot of you guys, even if you don't have your own personal business, I think even for your personal business, I would highly recommend you at least sitting down with a short consultation for Rick and getting the information. Just reach out to us or what have you, and I'll make sure that you get that information. You can call me or contact me at gdnapsey@gmail.com, of course. Actually, I think I have a gdnapsey@gdnapsey as well, but I'll get that to you for those in the school. And also, you can call me, contact me with the information on my website at gdnapsey.com. We'll get it over to you, and you all and Rick can work that out. That being said, and you can monitor the site for me, DB, hopefully. I only see a couple of people. So Nasir and the other gentleman, so I don't know if who that's a screen name for. Just reach out and I'll make sure we get you plugged into the show. But today we're going to clean up one of the biggest lies floating around the internet, okay, about child support in particular. And I keep hearing people say, hey, child support is unconstitutional or it's fraud or it's illegal. Look, fam, that shit just ain't true. No court anywhere in this country has ever ruled that child support is unconstitutional. Not once. So today we're going to break down some facts and get into it. And before I dig deeply into it, and by the way, if you do come into the Zoom, I think you have to hit the action button, and I can see when you raise your hand, and then that way I can bring you in. But I understand that people get frustrated with the system, and some of y'all feel like the court did you dirty. I get that, but frustration doesn't amount to or equal to facts. A lot of folks online repeat things they heard from somebody who heard it from somebody else, not without doing not one bit of research. Okay. Now, they haven't looked into any case law that states specifically that child support is unconstitutional. And what we've found out from a lot of so-called gurus, I don't fancy myself or call myself a guru. I might be a guru about my own personal experiences, which I have no problem sharing with everybody. But we also bring receipts here, good, bad, or indifferent. And I've had more losses before I had a bunch of losses before I got to where I was having some success in the courtroom, and not just limited to child support, but also traffic issues and other issues as well. But I don't recommend anybody try to go my route. Again, I always highly recommend people find a competent attorney. But again, people take misinformation into court, and sometimes that blows up in their face. Okay, and what we want to do is try to curtail that, and hopefully having an attorney would help you do that. But if you can't afford adequate representation, like myself, um, you may end up having to go it yourself. But you want to go it yourself with some information that can help bring you to wherever you want to go. Making into some of the legislative context of what child support really is. Child support laws are created by Congress and enforced by states under Title 4D. And what Title 4D has done is given states variance in how they enforce child support orders that originate in the state. And this is, by the way, this is just part one of a multi-part series. I don't want to, bombard you all with too much. But courts have upheld child support for decades, people. I know it started back in the 70s, but not one court has ever struck it down as unconstitutional. It's a government contract. I mean, it's not a government, it's a government program, but it's not a secret contract, people. All right. It's not fraud, it's not a scam. And if you walk into court believing inherent internet myths, the judge is going to probably drop you on your neck. It's difficult enough to get through there when you're doing things the right way. So going in there and doing things the wrong way is never going to benefit you. Now, if you really want to benefit and protect yourself in through the process, stop chasing shortcuts, people. Learn the process for your state, whatever it may be. Know your rights. Understand what Title 4D actually does. And when you come into court, be prepared with facts, not internet myths, because that changes the whole situation. Like I told you before, I'll get into other aspects of it a little bit deeper. And how Title 4D works, and we're going to talk about real quick, Daniel. Other than Blessing versus Freestone, well, give me another. A couple of cases that we're supposed to break down, so I don't forget.
Blessing versus Freestone's a great one. Troxel versus Granville. You have
That's about grandparent rights. Troxel versus grandparents. The gentleman passed, and his the grandparents of the children thought that they had rights, and the court said, "No, you don't have any rights." That supersede those of the parent.
Howlett versus Rose.
Howlett versus Rose.
That's a huge one though. Howlett versus Rose is a huge one.
Well, we'll have that one scheduled to be our next one for people. Well, actually, the first one's going to be Blessing versus Freestone, and then Howlett versus Rose. Another one, Troxel versus Granville, is pretty much insignificant in the grand scheme of things. I can just probably cover that quickly. There's a couple other
Lujan Defenders versus Wildlife, or Lujan.
Oh God, yeah. That one I saw on a video or something, and that was totally mischaracterized. One thing I can tell you right here, before we get into why it's not constitutional, we're going to talk about. I think that case is called the Holmgren case of that was in Minnesota. Holmberg case in Minnesota. I'll pull it up. You can find a much grander breakdown of it, but I'm going to show you all that case here for edification. So, and I'm pretty sure if you go to an attorney, he's going to tell you you sound cuckoo. But if you're tired of being confused, eventually I hope you all will hit the like and subscribe button, share this with somebody who needs the truth. Either join school or join the membership of YouTube, and you'll come a lot further. you're gonna be frustrated being informed. So you're definitely gonna be frustrated when you're misinformed or uninformed. We have another resident guru from the section, MJ. Thank you for joining. For the people who want to check out this Watch Out Sports Not Unconstitutional, and tell everybody who you are and what you do and how you can help them as well, especially from a confidence standpoint and understanding the frustrations that come with fighting these things.
Yeah, so I'm a retired athlete, University of Miami graduate. I also now do a lot of philanthropic work for holistic medicine. So that's kind of what I do now. I mean, retired, so I'm kind of like have a little bit more time to indulge in this stuff and kind of help in any way I can.
Okay, I appreciate you as always, and great motivation for myself as well. It kind of keeps me focused, and we try to do that for each other because one of the things that we do in this on this platform and within our group is to motivate people to just I know it's difficult to stay with it. Trust me, I went through it. Everything that I know is from getting my ass kicked, and then having some success for different reasons. What's unique about my case is that all of my cases were judicial. Process matters. But if you're in the state of Florida and you have an administrative case, the first thing I would highly recommend you not do is run. Because what should they think about doing, MJ, in the beginning, the moment you get those documents that could possibly help you quite a goddamn bit?
Yeah, the moment you are properly served, your best bet is to stay that, well, from my experience, is to stay that case so you can get everything addressed in the circuit court. Because what happens is going through the administrative process, the hearing officer or the administrative judge, should I say, she can't address everything properly. And there are some methods if it's too late to state a case to present evidence in your hearing to reflect the things you wanted to reflect to get to an equitable resolution.
There you go. Do not. Is that case Holmberg versus Holmberg?
Yes.
Holmberg. Child support and Constitution. I'm going to Google, so we're going to go through this so there's no secrets. We don't hide anything here, and what we try to do is help people get to where they need to be, so that you can be better prepared. And again, I don't want anybody to think that this is a substitute for legal advice. Again, if you need it, seek an attorney to be advised. You all see Google now, correct?
Yeah.
There we go. Declared the state's administrative child support process unconstitutional in 1999 because it violated the separation of powers. The court ruled the process infringed on the original jurisdiction of the courts by allowing administrative law judges to make final appealable decisions. But this is in this case. But when you realize how the case is actually read, let's see if this is what it is. What they later on, the courts, the legislature came back and corrected the error. In this specific issue, the administrative court making its decision as it did, in the manner in which it did, what the hell? I don't want to use this. I want to go back to, let's come out of this one. And I hate using AI for that reason. What it did was they corrected the error, changed the law to change the way that the process occurred, and then they straightened it out. They said that in that case, it was unconstitutional because of the way that the case was carried out. Not that child support was unconstitutional. Where they got to their decision was unconstitutional. 1999 Minnesota. Case my final law. I know there should be somewhere where we don't want all this. And it's amazing how this bad information just sits out here like this. I guess when people continue to push it, I want to get a copy of the actual case was held out. The administrative process is unconstitutional because it violates the separation of powers doctrine. The administrative child support process in Minnesota was declared unconstitutional because it violated the separation of powers. And the legal reason is that the administrative child support process violates the separation of powers doctrine because it infringes on the district court's original jurisdiction, creates a tribunal not inferior to the district court, and empowers non-attorneys to engage in the practice of law. The legislature has delegated to an executive agency the district court's inherent and equitable power. In short, and I'm going to go ahead, I guess we're going to have to go to our our Westlaw. In short, in the original case order, it tells the court to come up with a decision it tells the court to fix it. And the administrative court's process was unconstitutional, but they came back later on and changed the rules as to how child support is carried out in Minnesota. It's better articulated in my expansive one, but it just says that the administrative child support process is unconstitutional. Y'all can see that or no?
Yeah.
For Minnesota. The process is unconstitutional, not child support is unconstitutional. And that was then. They've since changed the rules. And I'm going to go ahead and see what did the Minnesota courts do. Legislature. Seattle legislature passed laws in 2005 to correct this by integrating the process into the judicial branch, clarifying magistrates as state employees, and repealing the specific statutes like the ones that the 518, 511 that created the problematic executive branch-led system, effectively moving decision making back to judges. So there's a correction. And I knew that, but I know we were trying to get these things more condensed. If you want the expanded version, just for posterity reasons, go to my video where it says child support is not unconstitutional, and I read the entire case. So that's going to be for you. But it actually stated in the original ruling, because I want to find the Justica Holmberg versus Holmberg for Justica. There we go. That's not the one. That's not the one. I want that one. Why does it keep giving me that one? Because I actually got it originally from that's why. JUS, Justia, JUS, TRA. Oh, that one. No. I don't know why I can't find this thing on here. I know I saw the thing before. But at any rate, I'll go ahead. Let's grab this thing here and pull it up to a place. Okay, I got a ruling on another case real quick. Let me go over here. Do me a favor, Dan. Where is the you don't need to court here. Let's see.
What do you need?
No, I got it.
You got it.
I went to Minnesota, and you all can see the Westlaw now, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, I'm gonna pull this up. I don't think there's any confusion as to what was found to be unconstitutional, but I wanted to pull out some key parts of the case. And because I'm not actually in front of the computer that I typically am working at, because I'm out of town working on my federal case, I can't just pull up the stuff that's actually inside the documents that I actually use. Let me see if I have it here. No, I'm actually incorrect. Oh, OneDrive. I think we're gonna have what we need. And it's actually the one we needed. So here we go. So everybody was about to be happy that we didn't have it, we got it. So here we go. Opinion. In the instant case is a consolidation of 3 appeals to the Court of Appeals challenging the constitutionality of Minnesota's child support process. You all see that, correct? Can you see the screen I'm looking at?
Yes, sir.
You see the different colors, correct?
On the right side, yep.
Okay. And this actually came from case text, so I thought it was from just here, but it's case text, which now know was absorbed by Westlaw for a heck of a lot more in cost. So it went from $100 to like $1,300. Anyway, this appeal presents the issue of whether the administrative process, and there's a statute that we saw on the other side, which was established in 1996, violates the separation of powers doctrine by impinging upon the original jurisdiction of the district courts, as we saw, by creating a tribunal which is not inferior to the district court, and by permitting child support officers to engage in the practice of law. The Court of Appeals ruled the administrative process unconstitutional, relying on the separation of powers doctrine, and they affirmed it. That's it, people. Not child support is unconstitutional. The process that they use is unconstitutional. And as you continue to read through, and if you want this, we'll give it to you. And it says the legislature created an expedited process. There's no controversy about the importance of streamlining child support mechanisms, but they cannot ignore separation of powers. And they're going to say somewhere in here where they're going to want them to recreate a set of rules. And you can go through this, and we can actually put this document inside of a link somewhere, right? I guess he dropped off. I'll make sure he can put it in there. But by the way, all they did was created the rule that corrected it, which we already have taken the time to look up. So hopefully there's no questions about this issue in general. As far as child support being unconstitutional, it's absolutely under no circumstances is child support unconstitutional. Anybody that tells you that is misleading you severely. So I think we have some people in here. I think to unmute, you just have to hit the action button, and I can tell you to unmute. You got to hit your action button, raise your hand. I'll see anything.
There we go. There we go. No, that's good.
And so the information is there. I just wanted to make sure I did something quicker for people to understand. It's not unconstitutional.
I do have a question though.
Yes, sir.
Are these cases applicable to different states at the circuit court level?
No, well, the Holmgren case came out of the Supreme Court of Minnesota. I believe one of the cases that you raised earlier spoke about like some people say ignorance of the law is no excuse. And what that case involved was somebody who was arrested for doing something and said that he should not be arrested because he wasn't aware that the law changed. Well, that doesn't get you out of violating the law because you didn't know the law changed. That's
right,
all that
but I'm taking it kind of like if that was a Supreme Court case in Minnesota, is that case
Is it binding on other states? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Not even under Howlett versus Rose?
Well, I will look into Howlett versus Rose and break it down individually, but binding case law versus persuasive case law is just well understood. A rule in Minnesota doesn't necessarily affect you in Florida. And they can talk about how you have some people have misconstrued that to mean like where other states recognize certain documents and rules from other states. Like if you get married in Minnesota, and you move to Florida, you don't have to get remarried in Florida. But if you want to get divorced in Florida and you want Florida to be the state of jurisdiction, and you may have to find out what the rules are to give you residency in order to file a divorce in Florida, because now Florida is the resident state. So in order to acquire for the court to have jurisdiction in that state to preside over a divorce proceeding or a dissolution matter, then that would come into play. And when it comes to enforcing child support, because there's a universal federal law that brings everything under that umbrella, a Minnesota order can be enforced in Florida under what they call long arm jurisdiction. So if you wanted to challenge, if you kind of say Minnesota got an order against you and you live in Florida and you're like, hey, I wasn't served. Now you could, if you wanted to undo the order, you'd have to challenge the underlying order in Minnesota. You could argue that Florida has no authority to enforce the order because of some specific violation that happened in Minnesota that may have violated a fundamental right. But that, kind of like you can get that from my case, and also I think Rick's case. Not Rick, Tyler's case was the same way. Rick's case was a little bit different. I think. I don't know if he's in here. He might be.
They probably
Rick,
unmute themselves.
Okay, you got to unmute yourself, Rick. Rick, your jurisdictional issue is different, right? You had a service issue?
Yeah.
Okay. So your service issue led to your case being dismissed the first time, right?
Yeah.
And then a stipulation got it dismissed the second time, correct?
Yeah.
There we go. So you've had the same case essentially dismissed twice for different reasons.
Yep.
Okay. Or case involving the same parties. Was the case number in the second case the same as it was in the first case?
No, it was a different case number.
Okay, so in other words, the second one would have had to do more with standing than it did the actual service or anything that had to do with that, correct?
Uh-huh.
There we go. Makes sense. And by the way, you can get that from him, and we'll show it to you if you need it, people. But I think we've covered everything I need to cover for this. Am I correct, Daniel? Is there something else I didn't you want me to cover that you think would be beneficial to the people beyond what they can see here?
Well, the thing is, I mean, if you're gonna touch on like the Holly versus Rose case separately, then no, we're good.
All right. Well, it's always important. Sometimes it's not about right or wrong. More importantly, it's about clarity. Let me make sure that Rick and Mike have nothing else to offer. Rick and Mike, y'all got anything else you want to offer before I get out of here?
No,
I'm good.
Dose.
Yeah, I'm good as well.
Okay. Make sure anybody who has any issues that deal with finance, you make sure you reach out to Mr. Robinson so he can help you out. As I started before, sometimes it's not about right or wrong. More importantly, it's about clarity. You never reach resolution if you're not willing to engage in honest dialogue, even the dialogue with yourself. Take time to hug the person you love the person you hug. On behalf of GD9 Attorney Pro Se Consultants, Greg Doss, I'm DJ Squid. I'm saying peace. I'm saying chicken grease. And I'm out of here.